And he spoke about how Ronaldo Gouws is undeniably racist. He speaks about, the racist slurs against black people.
We have to be very careful and clear that they are going to go for each other on other ways. They're going to dig up dirt. Did I not say that? They're going to counter attack. They're going to get intelligence and counter intelligence on each other. I'm sure I said that.
In response, Nel de Beer actually brings to the fore Julius Malema's also racist slurs against whites, against the Boer.
The Ronaldo Gouws matter was not a smoke grenade. It was a stun grenade. It went off, it got into the public view, and it automatically moved.
In a really unfortunate archaeology of what many have called youthful exuberance, Renaldo Gouws of the DA party has put South Africa once more on the global racism spotlight as an old footage featuring him using racist words and slurs against Africans have flooded the internet, even carried by major news outlets like the BBC, the CNN, and others. But in this interview, Nel de Beer actually calls this unfortunate incident featuring Renaldo Gouws as a smokescreen. Let's listen to how he analyzes what has just gone on with this member of parliament in South Africa, and I'll be back for some really interesting analysis on how major outlets like the BBC actually interpret Renaldo Gouws and interpret South Africa in this really difficult moment as it tries to grapple with its democracy and the formation of a government of national unity.
Neil, but meanwhile, the DA is also battling racism scandals. And, there's definitely an upswell of anti-DA sentiment that, is perceiving the party to be a white racist party.
When we were in the military, we called it smoke grenades. So you get a smoke grenade, you get a stun grenade, and those things are used in effect to take you out of the battle. But they are quite effective. So when you're in a combat situation and you are taking too much fire, you are taking an overwhelming counter from your enemy, you employ then things like stun grenades and smoke grenades, etc. If we use that analogy, the Ronaldo Gouws matter was not a smoke grenade, it was a stun grenade. It went off, it got into the public view, and it automatically moved the debate and the discussion of the government of national unity and whatever was happening in Parliament moved to racism. Not were they just done with Ronaldo, but they let the smoke grenade off to say, but there's more. Ian Cameron is now the secondary target. And then they publicly said, if we are done with Ronaldo, if we are done with Ian, then the third one is the current deputy speaker. It was so blatant on social media, so blatant from my point of view, and people sending to me and saying to me what I said last week, where I told you that we have to be very careful and clear that they are going to go for each other on other ways. They're going to dig up dirt. Did I not say that? They're going to counter attack. They're going to get intelligence and counter intelligence on each other. I'm sure I said that. Our words, our video, our message was not cold. And it started. So in this country, Chris, sadly, very sadly, when you put the word racism, it's like a little piece of Wagyu beef into a total pond of piranha. They go wild. And it's not like the detractors don't know that. So you can call anybody anything in this country. But when you say the word racist, it's a mega bomb. Each one of those has merit, but each one of those has a counter. So the past 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, nothing about the GNU was hitting the headline. Everything about racism was getting the spotlight. My opinion, deal with it. I think maybe because people do listen to this program and what me and you say on a Sunday.
You're the one saying it.
Sure, but when we said last week Sunday that the only way to deal with the people that are the counter-revolutionaries is to suppress them, to put law enforcement down, and to arrest. I'm very happy to note that again our words weren't cold, and this week the Hawks have arrested a man out of Nelspruit who on TikTok and social media was threatening this government and its president. They arrested him. And I hope this is not where that ends. Because I'll say it again and I'll say it every day that I can have an opportunity. The people of this country will not tolerate insubordination. We will not tolerate threats to our stability. We will not listen to people who want to sow such strife and such revolution amongst us. We cannot allow it. We will not allow it. And we must ensure that those detractors of our stability, our democracy, that they feel the harshest point of law enforcement, no matter who you are. And this is where we sit now with a DA that is thunderously being attacked now because of its so-called racist insignia inside. But at the same time, we have to look at people that made the same utterances on the other side. And I will say clearly, as I am not afraid to say, there seems to be a little bit of imbalance here. There seems to be a little bit of injustice here. That when you look at the one, the other one is not dealt with harshly on the same platform of hate speech, but some of them even threatening to kill. So, ons is moeg vir al twee, man. We are tired of both, and I hope that this will be dealt with in a very, very huge manner, but that it doesn't take away the real target, the real focus of getting this country back to work.
Brilliant. What do you guys think? I think it's really interesting usually to listen to Neil de Beer. I enjoy listening to him all the time. And in light of this video, I actually also listened to a podcast made by Penuel the Black Pen, one of South Africa's really biggest podcasters, and he spoke about how Ronaldo Gouws is undeniably racist, that he's a racist and all that. But as we hear here, Neil de Beer also tries to speak about justice in that, in bringing to light, and this is actually also what Ronaldo Gouws in the full-length video, a 6-minute video, although many outlets actually cut out 2 or 3 minutes where he speaks about, the racist slurs against black people in South Africa. In response, Neil de Beer actually brings to the fore Julius Malema's also racist slurs against whites, against the Boer, and that's actually what Ronaldo Gouws also speaks about in that video. And that justice should be met by both parties, in that what Ronaldo Gouws actually represents, it's actually also what Julius Malema actually represents. So this is according to Neil de Beer. So, a lot of people, a lot of outlets actually, making different analysis on this event, and it's quite unfortunate because you see the DA party at the moment is proving to be a really potent force now in the formation of the government of national unity. And I suspect that this what Neil de Beer speaks about as a stun grenade or smoke grenade actually would mar the DA party's essence. It might mar the DA party's identity and its strength as it negotiates for a really stronger position in the government of national unity that's being formed by President Cyril Ramaphosa at the moment. And South Africa is actually waiting for an announcement on the cabinet, which should actually take effect within the next 36 or 48 hours. But this event here has actually been blowing the media landscapes, and many media outlets are actually zoning in once more on South Africa, as it did during the period when the world rose against the apartheid regime, and that led eventually to the fight or the push, Nelson Mandela's push to a democratic state in South Africa. But anyway, I thought to really understand how major outlets in the world actually present this incident with Ronaldo Gouws, and actually what the world is really reading about South Africa in this light, and in the moment as it tries to form a government of national unity. So on the BBC, it speaks about how a South African member of parliament has been suspended for racist language. So this is what the world is reading about this. It's been framed as sort of like the case of a member of parliament being caught using racist language against black people in South Africa. So he speaks about how that a South African lawmaker has been suspended by his party, Democratic Alliance, after a series of old clips resurfaced online of him spewing violent racist language against black people. It says that Ronaldo Gouws initially insinuated one of the videos was doctored and denied it, but a statement issued by the DA on Thursday said it was genuine and not fake. Now it goes on to say that in the video, Mr. Gouws who was sworn into parliament last week. Actually, this is really unfortunate. He was just really sworn into parliament last week. Many people call him a YouTuber. Many people call him a media tech, activist. But the fact that he was just sworn into parliament last week is really a big blow, I think, to the DA party. So it says that in the video, Mr. Gouws, who was sworn into parliament last week, was actually found in the video using a local slur typically reserved for black Africans repeatedly along with the N-word, and called for black people to be killed or eliminated. It says this could hardly have come at a worse time for President Cyril Ramaphosa as he trashes out a new coalition government with the DA. Now, it says that after being sworn in for a second term as president on Wednesday, President Ramaphosa now has agreed on the distribution of ministerial posts between his own African National Congress and the DA, along with 3 smaller parties. It says that the ANC, we know that the ANC failed to win a majority in last month's election, and for the first time, since the end of the racist system of apartheid in 1994. Now, it also argues that the center-right DA party, which is the second largest party in South Africa, has faced accusations repeatedly, even before the elections, of racism from critics who say that the party wants to protect the interests of the white minority population. A charge with the DA, especially John Steenhuisen, has actually actively denied vociferously. It argues that the DA has said that Mr. Gouws will face disciplinary charges, and that earlier this week, another old clip re-emerged in which Mr. Gouws made racially charged remarks as well. It says that in the video, he implied that white people were subject to reverse apartheid, and he said that if Africa has to disappear off the face of the earth, no one would notice. Now, more than 40,000 people have signed an online petition calling for his removal as a member of parliament, and that on Monday, after the first clip came out, the 41-year-old Ronaldo Gouws claimed that he wasn't racist and apologized on Twitter, that's X now, saying that he has spoken in a crass and hostile way. He argues now, this is Ronaldo Gouws speaking, "I refute any claims of racism or being racist. I can, however, see how my message was distorted in the way it was delivered by me, and I take full responsibility for the actions of my younger and immature self," says Ronaldo Gouws. Now, it says that DA leader John Steenhuisen previously defended Mr. Gouws, but it is unclear if he has seen the latest video where Mr. Gouws calls for black people to be killed. It says that senior DA official and former party leader Helen Zille on Wednesday told local media that such a language is unjustifiable and unacceptable, that she doesn't see how such an offensive language can be justified. This is now Helen Zille blasting Renaldo Gouws. Now, it says that Mr. Gouws is a former councillor in Nelson Mandela Bay's Ward 2 and a popular figure on social media who has been known to stir controversy a lot. It says that the South African Human Rights Commission, SAHRC, said it would take legal action against Mr. Gouws for the alleged racial utterances relating to online media posts. Now, it also says that in a statement shared on X, the South African Human Rights Council concluded that the comments made by the suspended MP constitute hate speech or harassment. It also says that given Mr. Gouws' position as a member of parliament, his alleged actions carry even greater weight and responsibility. So anyway, this is actually what the BBC has to say about this Renaldo Gouws' issue. And in my opinion, I think it's just quite unfortunate that this is actually coming to the fore at the moment. In the video, we heard Neil De Beer speak about one of these, that he actually predicted that this would be one of the consequences of the GNU, because it seems like it will be a government of many betrayals. So because now there are many parties in one, and it's almost like an elimination of opposition politics. A lot of the players within the government would likely go back to history and archaeologize or dig out, elements or evidences to use that as vehicles or modes to betray each other, to either stampede the procession or the evolution of the government of national unity or to progress. So whenever there's a party that actually, refuses to agree with a certain element that's been agreed upon by the majority of the parties or the parties that actually make up the GNU, such stun grenades or smoke grenades would actually be a perfect vehicle to kind of like slow down or impede the progress of such a debate or such a policy. And this is what we were likely going to see as the GNU evolves. And it's kind of like a risky and unfortunate place to be for the presidency, Ramaphosa, who actually on his own neck has the Pala Pala case, which is likely going to be fed upon, by the opposition. Especially now we know that Judge Schlopper would be leading the opposition in the, with the MK and the MK party, or from the MK party's wing. And also now that we know that there's almost what seems to be like a dissolution of the Progressive Caucus that was called upon by the, the EFF. We know that the United Democratic Movement, with the leadership of Bantu Holomisa and also Al Jamal, has actually notified that they would be leaving, or they didn't notify anyway, but their agreement to join the government of national unity signifies a departure from the Progressive Caucus. And what becomes now of the Progressive Caucus now seems to be a consolidation of the basis of the EFF and the MK party. And with George Schlopper now leading the opposition from the MK party's wing, I suspect that there will be a massive opposition to especially President Cyril Ramaphosa, especially from the perspective of the Pala Pala case, which Jacob Zuma isn't willing to let go of at the moment. And also him having a lot of, skeletons and a lot of issues also hanging on his neck, legal issues which have to be cleared. It's a messy place, to be in a government, I think, in South Africa. And it's quite tricky for South Africans at the moment, grappling a lot of these issues. Now, De Beer speaks about how South Africans have been abused, and South Africans have actually always, whenever it seems that there's one step forward, there definitely usually comes almost like 80 or 90 steps backwards. And this is how South Africa has, the trajectory of South Africa has been ever since the demise of Nelson Mandela, or I dare say the elimination of Thabo Mbeki from power. And so this is what South Africans have to grapple with in their political economy. So it's quite unfortunate anyway with Renaldo Gouws' incident. I'll keep watching and keep studying how he responds and what goes on. What would happen? Would he be kicked out of the parliament? Would he be kicked out of the government of DA representation in the government of national unity? What really would happen with that? It would be really an interesting decision to be made by the DA party, and what that would mean for the DA party's strength or position within the government of national unity. But anyway, let's share your thoughts. What do you guys think about this incident? It's really blown big. It's really pulled South Africa back into the limelight in terms of the racism scale, in the world. But what do you guys think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments.